So welcome again to this presentation where we're going to review Vose software Tamara. Tamara is an application that it's used for project risk analysis, and its main two features are its speed, that's why it's fast, and ease of use, that's why it's easy. And you will see that in the next minutes, right? It's a very simple tool to use, right? Tamara is built by Vose Software. Vose Software uh, is a company that's based out of Belgium. They have more than 25 years of expertise in quantitative risk analysis. They started as a consultant and trainers, and then they evolved into developers of a software platform for risk analysis and risk management. So they have three main products. One is model risk, and we have in our web page, and if you go to ferryfieldgroup.com/ um, virtual sessions, or if you look for YouTube Ferryfield Group in Google, you will see videos about model risk, right? This is basically risk management and Monte Carlo simulation on top of Excel models. Then you have Tamara, which is the one that we're going to talk about, which does the same, of course, risk management, Monte Carlo simulation on top of, this case, project schedules. And these project schedules could be in Primavera P6 or it could be in project. Right? And we already did one webinar on Jan the 28th about Pelican, and this is also in our website. So you can take a look to these webinars there, right? A few clients that Vose Software has, and this is mostly to show the versatility of the tools that they use. This could be technology, this could be retails, pharmaceuticals, right? This could be government, energy, food, etc., etc. So the main idea is to recognize the versatility of the products and how easy they are to use. Now, about me a little bit, I have 15 years of experience in the QRA arena. I was part of Palisades, the builders of At Risk, for 12 years. I was a consultant, a trainer, then I finished as a director of consulting. Then the company was sold, and we decided to part ways. I took a time off in a startup, and now I reinvented myself again with the Ferryfield group, starting to work with them since 2024. And I'm teaching. This needs to be change of course, but this is saffron risk, model risk, right? And QRA trainings. Since the last year, this is what I enjoy the most. I write papers about it. I am present in a lot of webinars. So this is something that if you're here today, thank you for the time. Hopefully it's really worth it. And Tamara is an excellent tool, you will see. So Tamara, I will use the slides here to guide what I'm doing. Of course, I'm not going to go each one by each one because this is for you. The slides are for you. So Tamara is an application that works on top of Windows, right? And the moment that you open it, you see that you have all the previous versions of models that you have. You have examples here that you can utilize, right? What I'm going to do first, I'm going to import a model. I'm going to import a model that's going to be an XER model here, a commercial construction model. Remember, an XER is the format that you have in P6 models, so you can open it, right, like this, right? And it says, for example, it is impossible to read lag calculations because these are all Primavera files. This file is very old, so I will click in OK. And what this is going to do is going to, first of all, generate a warning report with all the things that it found in the model. So you see that, first of all, it does a Monte Carlo suitability check. It says number of tasks with hard constraint, 0. Number of summary tasks with a predecessor, number of tasks with incomplete information. Tasks with dates different from original, maybe this is a point that I need to check to see what's the difference, right? Maybe it's big, maybe it's bad. And then you have a quality check. Like, this is like a small CDMA 14 model. You see that you have all of this. So you can have fraction of tasks with duration exceeding 10%. You see, base fraction of 10%. Fraction of links that are not finished start. Fraction of leads with lags. You see, with more than 40 working days. Total links versus total task ratio and things like that. And here you can even set up the thresholds here, right? You can create a report from this if you like for example here, right? If you like, you can create a report and generate it. So the reporting capabilities of Tamara are really, really nice. And take a look here. You see, you have everything. So you have all the information. It's a very small XER file, and nevertheless, you get all this information from it, right? Like this. Oh, it's for you to check all the things that were checked here. You will get the evidence of the checks there. Right? Now, second thing is that, well, of course, you can finish the import and you will get this visual, which is the Gantt chart visual, right? So it's the typical Gantt chart. You can right click, you have a column chooser here, right? You can say, I want to, I don't know, the free float. So I got the free float here. You can add the free float, right? If you like, let me see if I added it here, like this, for example. I added the free float, the label, the string, the start from Tamara, the finish, the task type, etc., working hours, etc. Right? You have text to search, for example, if you have heating, right? And then you can find that. So that means that if you have a big file, you can import here. It will work really, really fast. Right? That's one thing. If you like, you can highlight the critical path or not. For example, here, right? In the Gantt chart or not. You can show the dependencies, the links basically or not. You can collapse all, expand all. You see, you can see the task details. So this is the typical viewer, right, of a project manager software like this, right? And you have here the different layers of the risk that you will have, right? You have the panel that you can, you see here, you see this search panel, the column chooser, which I already got. You have all of these particular things that you would do in a project. Of course, the idea here is that you would use everything that you need to use. That's the philosophy of the software. So you will see that there's nothing that it's missing, but you don't have, you see a lot of, you see overwhelming set of options, which is something I like a lot. Right? We'll see the scenarios later. You have these scenarios here, and you have the status date that you can choose if you like. Okay. Now, once you import the project, remember that you can see or not the details of the tasks. You can open or close the task like this, right? You have this visualization, right, which is very simple. So once you know that you imported it correctly, you can go to the project settings. And the project settings, well, if you've seen Tamara before, this has greatly improved. If it is the first time you see it, you'll see how easy it is. First of all, how many iterations you would use. For example, I can say 1,000, right? If you use a manual seed value, which are the scenarios? Remember what I said before. For this particular one, we're just going to use the manage scenario, manage, unmanage, and potential. And you have these three scenarios that are by default here, but you can add more, right? So you can compare more scenarios to it. For example, here you can run a pre and post mitigation. That will be the manage and unmanaged model, right? That will be it. You have what we call the spreadsheet modeling that I'm going to show you in a minute, which lets you build these different distributions when you have special cases for the risks that are going to be applied to a task into a worksheet, which really expands the capabilities, and something that no other tool has, right? And if you like to have the cost estimation like this, you see, and if you want to have duration and cost correlation, you see, you want to have 100% correlation or not, what's the currency, what's the format, etc. Right? So these are the things that you can set up here in the project settings, right? That are very complete. Once you have that, then you go to what I call the risk input, or where you can map all the risks and all the uncertainties. Remember that Tamara uses the typical uncertainty plus risk event architecture, right? You have here. The uncertainties you can set up here. Cost uncertainties, resource cost uncertainty, work amount uncertainty. And the risks you can set up here. You have also disruption risks, basically risks that if they happen, they stop everything, or unplanned work risks. And you have here something that is called productivity factors that I'm going to show you in a minute, right? So the same typical work frame or framework that we have, the typical framework that we have for a project risk management model, it's applied to Tamara. Right? So you have all of this. The good thing is that this is already coming with some categories like this, right? You can say you have conservative small, medium or large, neutral small, medium or large, optimistic, etc. You can add your AAC classes here, or any class that your company has. You can add them here. You can import from Excel, you can export to Excel, you can eliminate things, right? So you have the typical different options here, and how you do it, it's very simple. For example, let's say that this complete bunch of list items for all of the tasks, you go here, you just choose it like this. As simple as this, right? So for example, if you're running a workshop with your team or with your clients, this is something that you can do upfront like this. It's very, very simple. Right? Conservative small, imagine you have all this information directly here. Now, take a look to what I did. I did on purpose. If you apply this to a group task, right? All the tasks inside the group tasks are going to inherit it. For example, neutral small, you see, all of them neutral small, or optimistic medium, or you see, optimistic large, like this, right? So you can do this, and as you're applying uncertainty, normally that will be okay at the beginning. It depends on how far in the project are you, but this lack of granularity sometimes is good to just do an estimation of the potential uncertainty that you will have, right? So let me finish this, and with this initial setup, take a look. With this initial setup, we can run a simulation. It's as simple as this. So take a look here. You can do a custom. This custom could be absolute or relative, right? So for example, relative could be 100%, 120%, and 140%. So all of these are going to have this custom, or they will use the categories that you just set up, like that. You see? Now that you set up the uncertainty, it's as easy as coming here to the results and saying run simulation, like that. And boom, you have the simulation run. And that's why I said before, it's fast and easy, right? In less than 10 minutes, you already have a finish date calculation with 1,000 iterations. Let's say that I want to change that with 10,000. I think I did 10,000, right? So I already run 10,000. I can calculate the duration as well. You see, this is in dates. You see the x-axis in dates, or you have the duration here. Something that's new that they did, they put these markers here. So if you want to see P80, here you go. You have your P80 there, or your P50. And then you can see the difference between the two. You see, it's 3 days, the difference between the two. Or the mean, which is very close to P50, you see? So now you can set up all these markers very easily without having to, you see, trying to navigate. They are as easy as this to set up. So this is something that I really liked in this new version of Tamara, that the graphical capabilities have improved a lot. These are days. I can do it in weeks if you like. Of course, this is going to be very, very non-granular, right? So days is going to be the best thing here, right? What else you can do? You have columns to choose. In this case, let's see. I'm not sure if you would like to have, for example, I don't know if you like the free float or any other that you can add that here, but I'm not sure if that's going to be preferred. I think this should be here. You see, like that. Now, additional things that you can do. I'm going to show you a complete model in a second, right? Once you have the risk input, remember that I entered the uncertainty. I'm not sure if I have costs. I don't think so. You see here in the fixed costs, I don't have anything. So the model I'm going to open will have cost. Right? But what you can do, you can set up something that's called task specific. And these are risks. So these are risks for a risk register. So what you can do, you can add one, right, like this. And this could be, for example, resource scarcity. Category, you can add a category, right, if you want. You can say, for example, HR. Right? Category is going to be HR. It is a risk. It is not a single event, and it's independent. Meaning independent means that if it's mapped to several tasks, every task is going to have a different impact. So it is a task. And the delay is going to be between 5, 10, and 25 days. If you have this resource scarcity issue, it will have cost if you like. I'm not going to add any cost. It will be 0, 0, and 0 like this, and I can save it like that. Very simple. And now I have one risk available in my risk resource, in my risk register. How do I map it? I just go to the task, for example, install the flooring common, etc. So I go here and I say, yes, I have this resource scarcity like that. That's it. And then I map the risk to this task. And I can map the risk to more tasks like this. Map this risk to these tasks as well, you see? So now I can run the simulation like this. And now you see that it moved a little bit to the right. So not, because I have only one risk and I have all these uncertainties. As always, you can drill down to any of these different, in this case, phases of the project so you can take a look. Okay, so you see how easy it is, right? You just set up the risk input. I just selected one risk from a risk register, and instead of building it all of that together, I'm going to open a model that it's already built. Now, please remember, these are what I call the layers, right? The uncertainty layers that are on top of the model. This is the model here in purple, right? So you have this in purple, and this is the model. You took layers of uncertainty one after the other, right? You have uncertainty in the work, you have uncertainty in expenses, you have your risk register, you have your risk category that I'm going to show in a second, and also you have unplanned work as well, right? So I'm going to go to File, close this file, right? And I'm going to open another file here. This one that already is the same file in terms of the tasks, but what it has, it already has, take a look, all this work amount uncertainty, right? It has a complete risk register. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 risks, right? Everyone is a risk. Some of them are singles, another one are multiple events, and some of them, the majority of them has cost, and all of them has an impact in duration, like this, right? So now you see that you can set up different risks, which are going to be mapped here, like this. You see, you have all of these risks together. One of the things that I showed you before is that you have these scenarios, these manage and unmanaged. So what you could do, and how is it that you implement that? You go to the task specific, and you see that you have scenarios here. That means that, for example, for the archaeological finding, for the archaeological finding, for the managed, you have is from 20 to 70 days. But for the unmanaged, the impact of the archaeological finding is from 40 to 190 days. You see, it's a very high impact. In the managed, of course, is less than that. Same thing with the cost. This will go to 18K, and this will go to 5K. If you go to another one like this, you see, this changes because now we're talking about the cleanup delay, like this, or electrician unavailable, like this. You see, so for each one of the scenarios, now you have one set of impacts, both in time and duration. I'm sorry, both in time and cost, right? So you have managed and unmanaged, and potentially, if you like, or if you want to have more, you will have more, right? And here you select which one you want to see, right? Which is the managed one. So the good thing about that is that it will let you generate models inside the model, right? You will run the model with the managed parameters, and you will run the model with the unmanaged automatically, right? And this is what we did here. Right? What else you have? You have this spreadsheet. You see when you have this spreadsheet. So let me explain to you what it is, right? When you have this spreadsheet, you see that you have this custom and you have this option here, which says use the spreadsheet. So what it does is when you have some specific requirements in terms of ranges or in terms of distributions, right? It will clone the model into a worksheet like this, right? You have here the tasks, and to the right, you will have the distributions. So you will see here, right? For example, here, show you in a minute, cost of the seats. Let's see, 1 second. Oh, this is the output. Give me just 1 second, just 1 second. So what you could do here, let's see, I think I opened the wrong one. Just 1 second.
A ver, estoy ya en la casa y voy.
Just 1 second. Here you go. So I think I pressed the wrong button. Here, what you have, for example, have this Vose log normal distribution, meaning that for that particular task, for this particular task, my duration is not going to pertain to the distributions that I set up before. Remember, to these ranges that I had, but they are going to be this distribution like this, right? The same thing for expenses. I can set up a different distribution. And you see that you have for the two scenarios, you have for the managed and for the unmanaged scenario. And you have this distribution, a log normal like this, right? So you can set up this if you have very specific needs. Very specific needs, you can set up here, right? Let me come back, and these are the ones. So the moment that you select one of these, automatically you will have this spreadsheet. That means that if you want to see what happens, you will have to go to the spreadsheet, as I did, right? Now, we've explained, right, a little bit of the work amount uncertainty. The expense amount is exactly the same, right? You have the different distributions, and with the different distributions, right, you just have to set them up here to select, right, like this. So it's exactly the same as I explained before, and that's very simple. You have the risks, and then I'm going to explain a couple of things. One is the unplanned work here, and what it says, and what I really like about the software is that it makes it very easy because you can just read it, right? This table has allowed you to define risk events that, if they occur, will cause additional tasks to be necessary. Take a look. Enter the probability of it occurring. So basically, you enter the probability, right? And check the column include or not. And the additional tasks that may be necessary must be already in the original schedule with a base duration of 0. So basically, you will have to add in the original schedule some milestones because they have a base duration of 0, and they will have to be together with this, right? For example, we are using that here, right? In this one, right? Take a look. And if this one happens, this unplanned work happens, this one is going to occur, the one with 0, right? Like that. So this is one, right? You have a disruption risk. You see here, well, it's very long, but it's basically saying that you have a probability of some, you see here, when a disruption occurs, all active tasks shared in the calendar are postponed for the specific amount of time. Basically, if you have, I don't know, a force majeure, if you have some specific issue with, I don't know, weather, with climate, with diseases, etc., you can model that here. And finally, we have what we call these productivity risk factors. So these productivity risk factors let you model different factors which are going to define how work is performed. For example, here you have labor, design, teamwork, site management, roof design, client indecision, etc. What's the probability of occurrence? And what happens if these occur? For example, here, if you have design quality issues, right? The percentage on the task duration is mostly negative, right? because it's going to go up 20%. Of course, it could be minus 10%, but it's going to be weird. You can change that. Teamwork issues, what happens? They are going to delay the tasks. Poor site management, they're going to delay the tasks, etc., right? So that's the main idea here, that you will have this potential affections to the task in terms of these different risk factors. Now, what happens, and please remember, for example, labor, design, all these risk factors that have an effect on the task, they can be created as categories. So now you see that all the factors that we had, these factors here, the ones that we created here, are now flipped, right, as columns. And what we did, we generated, for example, a category that's going to be called, I don't know, elevators. And these elevators are going to be different weights for the tasks affection that we have. So it's going to be 20% labor, 20% design, 10%, 10, 10, 20, etc., right? So in this case, the biggest factor is going to be the client indecision. Same thing here with carpentry. It's going to be 20, 30, 20, etc. So maybe 30, the design is going to be the most, the highest factor in terms of the factors that are going to be included in the category. What happens is that this combination of these two, that sometimes people relate it to it like a correlation factor, which is simpler, this is added to the list. For example, here, site grading. You see, site grading. So you have a category for site grading. You have a steel erection. You have a category here for steel erection. You see. So this is all going to affect the different tasks of that particular stage, right? So the steel erection, for example, here would have, if you go to the categories, steel erection, you see, you have all these factors: labor, design, steel skill, etc. If you go to one of the factors only, just for us to take a look, steel skill, you go here to the factor, steel skill, right? Affecting a task with a 5% probability of occurrence between 0 and 30%. So this is only part of what a consolidated calculation of additional impacts will have, right? So this is an additional layer. This is optional. Sometimes it's not as intuitive at the beginning. So my recommendation is you will do it at the end or when you have more experience, right? But this is something that definitely you can see. Now, what else we have? So you might remember, you have uncertainty, you have risk events, you have unplanned work. Remember when you want to generate new work, and now you have categories. So you have all these layers that you can put on top of the model. And this is the mapping interface as well, right? Which is something I really like because it's very intuitive, right? And you can find things easy. You can take a look to what you did. You can use it for the workshop here, which is something I really like, because sometimes you have to export it. You can export it to Excel if you like, right? Or you can use it directly here, right? But it's important that you know that this could be the main report capabilities. What you will do with all these layers on top and all these mappings, you can just go to the results and run the simulation. See? And what you have, take a look here. Remember, we were just choosing the managed scenario here. And here you have the finish or the duration. Let's go to the duration. You have cost as well. Remember, I'm not sure if you saw that here, but you have costs, right? That the cost can also be, you see, can be run and can be simulated. And you can see, you see, the cost of the masonry work, roofing, building, elevators, etc. So it's very easy to change and it's very easy to use like this. Now, what I set up before, remember, when we were doing the task specific, when we were doing the risk register, you have the managed and the unmanaged. For each one of the risks, I did it manually, right? Why I wanted to do it? Because I wanted for you to see, let's go to the duration. If the managed goes from, you see, 343 to 456, the unmanaged should be higher, right? Should be wider. And this is what happens, right? You have from 342, which is basically saying to 581. So basically, this was the unmanaged, right? This will be the pre-mitigation, and the pre-mitigation moved to the left for the post-mitigation, right? So you have a smaller duration, of course, because of the changes, because of the mitigation actions. Now, important to mention is that you can change the graphic type. So sometimes people like it like this. With two distributions is fine, but when you have 3 or 4 it's difficult. So you can generate it like this, which is simpler, right? And then you can say, well, it's the managed or the unmanaged. And of course, you can have, I don't know, you report your contingency as P50 and P80. So you can take a look here like that, right? So it will make it very simple to see it, right? What else you have? You can do with a Pareto distribution if you like, a descending cumulative if you like. That's easy. You can set up here the start finish duration, which variable you want to review, you like, right? Now, additional things that you have. When you go to advanced analytics, you have the typical tornado charts, right? And these tornado charts, they come in the same unit, right? As the Gantt chart, right? So in this case, you will have what is the impact of the foundations task is going to be 45 days, 49 days, like this, right? Or you can take a look and see the impact of the different tasks at different levels. So same thing, you can do it like that. So it will be very simple to do it. Now, what you can do, and this is something that that normally you will have to do manually in other software, is that you can click here in the tornado options and say, well, I'm looking at the tasks ranking, but what if I want to combine this with the risks? So now you have risks here, archaeological finding. You see, in terms of the impact, it ranks everything together. You have the archaeological finding, the cleanup, the malfunction of the crane, right? Even, let's see how it goes, you can add the unplanned work, but I don't think that it was that big. Or you can include the risk factors, like this, you see? For example, labor. This is another risk factor. Or you can just untoggle the tasks and see what is the, for example, the unplanned work, the effect is nothing, 0.2 days. The risk factors is 17 days, 14 days, 10 days, etc. So you see that you have all these different ways for reporting, which makes it very, very easy to use, right? You can always copy the chart to the clipboard, right? Move it here, copy that. The resolution is really good, so you don't have to worry about that, right? How many bars you want this? Top 5, you can use the top 5, and you can come here or make it to, I don't know, 10, etc., right? So that makes it very, very simple to use, right? In this case, for the tornado option, you see that you have more options too. I'm not going to go through each one of them, so we can continue. This is one. Then we have what we call the stochastic Gantt. I really like this option because it's very visual, like this. And what it will let you see, let me just see a few, so you see them, right? What is it that you want to choose? For example, I want only the start and finish, the start, the finish, for example, or the start and finish, which is normally what I look for. And then you can choose which one you want to see. See, in this case, I want the finish. So the finish date for the plumbing can go from September the 6th to November the 18th, November the 16th, I'm sorry. So this is the plumbing range, right? It's like if you see the distribution from above, right? It will be like this, right? You can change the envelopes, right? You can change the scenario. You see here, for the plumbing is from September to November, but if you do the unmanaged, it's from September to January. So you see the difference, right? So the scenarios are present in all of the different decisions that you will have in the model after you set them up. This is something that's really cool because normally you will have to manually send them up. In this case, you can do for example, here, you can say, I don't want to see the complete project. I just want to see a few of them, right? Foundations, foundations, plumbing, and electrical. Here you go. So these are the ones that I would like to see, right? In what way they call a probabilistic Gantt chart or stochastic Gantt option like this. You see? If you want to see milestones only or not, so you will have it like that. Right? If you do milestones only and you say no, you have all the tasks here, right? Which make it very, very granular. If you do only milestones, of course, you can do it like this, right? Now, what else you have? You have what we call, they call it a report designer. So I will show it to you here. See where it appears. Oh, here you come. It's in my second screen. So let's give it a second because it's starting. So this designer comes here, right? And what it does, it lets you create reports completely. It's very, very simple. For example, I chose the executive summary. I will say I want it from the managed one. Click on submit. And it's going to generate the report. As easy as it is. Look, this is one. This has the commercial the name. In this case, the top 10, I guess. And this is the report. Or you can go to the report wizard here and change it and say, I want to see the complete view. Next. Like this. And then again, the scenario, the managed scenario. You see, now you have all of this together. The dates, the S-curve, you see, the probabilistic Gantt chart, the duration, like this. You take a look. It's a lot of information. The duration here. In this case, the project cost simulation associated with these tasks. You see, the key drivers, like this. You have a lot of things here. Here you go. And the risks that affect the finish date. So you can change that. And you have a couple. You see, I will do a third one, the general overview, very simple. So you have all this reporting that normally you will have to produce yourself. So what I really like about this is that you don't have to produce it yourself. It's going to come automatically. And you can export it, right, to PDF, to a doc file, an Excel file, etc. So you have a complete way of doing that, right? You have here this one that it reads Pelican. I don't have a Pelican instance, but remember that Pelican is the complete integrated risk management platform that Vose software has. So you can include and connect and integrate Pelican to this and see the information from Pelican here, right? Now, what else you can do? You see here, let me see. You can show the task details if you like. You can add more and more tasks. And finally, well, I did it one time, but if you like, you can go also to the reporting in the spreadsheet, right? And this is the last one I want to show. And this is the first one I showed you before. So you have here the reporting in the spreadsheet. So you can run the model, or you can see, for example, the cost of the model and the duration for each one of them. What is this? This is the typical report where people want to know the P50, the P80, the P90 of the tasks after the simulation. So this is the report, right? And then you can run it, you can add correlations. You have a complete modeling platform, right? Which is derived from model risk. So you have a combination of model risks and Tamara here. Do you happen to have any question? Is there anything that you would like to see? You see that Tamara, it has a very simple but very deep interface. So we can go on and on and on and add more things. You see, change the cost uncertainty. You can import these ranges, right? And you can do that for the resource cost as well, right? This is something that I didn't touch. For example, for the resource costs, you can see for the scheduler, you pay it everything up front, you pay it at the end, or you pay prorated. It depends on the resource, what is the way that's going to be paid, right? And even you can add some active cost uncertainty or standby cost uncertainty. So you see that with a simple interface that looks very simple, you can go on and on with a lot of depth, right? Just as a quick recap, please remember that Tamara, and that's the motto that they have, right? Tamara is fast and easy. So you see that now in 40 minutes, we were able to create a complete model. This complete model, you can choose to see the finish date, the duration, you see the cost, see that it's totally different. Yeah, the cost. You can change the project settings here. You have a lot of things that you could do here. And then you can analyze, for example, things like key drivers, right? Things like in any other cases, things like reportings. You can do the stochastic Gantt. You can do trend if you like. If you have cost, for example, here, you could do costs, right? Like that for the managed and unmanaged scenario, if you like this, right? And you can do a cumulative, like the typical S curve. You can do that as well, right? And you can change the period. You can do it in 4 weeks. You can do it in weekly, etc. Right? Or one last that we were not looking at is the critical path. So you can see for the different scenarios, you see here, always the scenarios. With the critical path, you can see the percentage of the simulation process where the task was part of the critical path. So for example, in this case here, this task was 100% inside the critical path during the simulation process, while this task was only 4% of the time. So you have the ability to change that, right? So if you don't have any questions, so what I will do, and I will invite you, right? I will share with you all these slides so you can take a look, right? We finish with the critical path, right? We're going to have a webinar in a couple of weeks. That's here, selecting the right distribution, or if you like, you have also access to our webinars here.